Hello, I'm Sumin. I'm an MA design student in Northumbria University. I'd like to introduce my friends who have helped make this video. They are also pursuing the industry design course. This video is my research, which is about responsible design, and I'd like to share it with you. There are 4 main points what I'd like to deliver. Firstly, I'd like to introduce how to understand the consequences of decision-making for doing responsible design. Secondly, I present the new design process with the guideline of responsible design diary. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about the need of changing the current design process. Lastly, it's about the importance of re-education for designers, which should be considered in DIF 2015. What is a good design? I believe that design has a great power, and the effect of this power on society is significant. From my point of view, a good design should bring positive impact to community. Designers should be mindful of their own action and decision-making. Moreover, designers need to be responsible for the consequences of their action. This is responsible design. What kind of criteria are designers following when they make a decision? I have found that it is the design process. In other words, through a good design process, designers can improve their sense of responsibility, and they can create a good design for people, society, and environment. The following scene would provide clear guide and create the awareness for designers. Designers should go through 4 steps for defining their role. The first step is the acquisition of knowledge in school. Second step usually happens in company. This knowledge gained from the school could be merged with the acquired knowledge through the company's philosophy and influence from the superiors, either directly or indirectly. This knowledge is examined through designers' direct experiences. Designers form their own rules through this process. The last step is to define their role on the basis of these rules. The design process could be considered as the framework to define a part of designer's role. How can designers understand the consequences of the decision-making through changing of design process? How can designers be responsible for their own daily action? The answer to this question is a responsible design process. Before introducing new design process as a responsible design process, I'd like to present simply double diamond design process as a foundation of a new one. Liket and Cisco recommended this model as a socially responsible design process. It is accessible on a various type of design. This diagram has 4 distinct phases: discover, define, develop, and deliver. This process illustrates the divergent and convergent stages, which show the different way of designer thinking. There are 2 things happening in the design double diamond model, one defining the problem and one resolving the problem. New design process consists of 8 phases: discover, analysis, define, new understanding, design concept, develop, evaluation, and deliver. There are 2 goals in new design process. First, it is to change the design process. It will contribute towards making a better life for people through taking an interest in complex social issues and reflecting the unexposed needs of users and clients. This process will guide the designers to deeper understanding. The second goal is to clearly recognize the role of designers. For instance, in an ambiguous situation, it would guide them through the process. The discover phase is to identify the problems, opportunities, or needs as the first step, as well as outlining some of the boundaries of the possible solution. Designers try to look at the world in a fresh way, find new things, and gather perception in the discover phases. There are 3 key points. Firstly, it is to forget the client's brief in order to find unexposed needs and wants of client and user. Secondly, designers can find new opportunities through understanding the context with a deep understanding of problem. Thirdly, it is anticipating the needs of the future through market research. Analysis phase is to focus on creating the design brief. This phase should be progressed with the client's brief. It's an excellent stage to deepen the relationship between designers and clients. As gathering and classifying the data collected from discover phase, designer can decide the scope of works and can plan for budget schedule. Define phase is about that the designer tries to make sure the possibilities found from discover phase are considered. In other words, it is clarifying the goal through filtering the data and ideas collected. Designers should make sense of the parameters of the design. There are key activities that narrowing down insights, suggestion of possible solutions, defining a clear design brief. The new understanding phase is to encourage the responsibility of designer's action. Before going to the design concept phase, designers need to consider how the solution will impact on the future and to understand deeply the unexposed needs of a user and clients. Tatum states that designers need a grasp of the profound consequentiality of their work. Not only are the possibilities almost limitless, the choices we make among those possibilities carry profound and far-reaching implications for how we will live. Designers need to plan in order to predict that what effects a designer's action will give to the future user. Although the prediction is the most negative, planning of action is to be responsible when it explores all the possible results without prejudices and endeavors to anticipate and cope with them. In the interview with Robert Young, he explained the importance of anticipation, that designers created more problems than they solved because of the unintended consequences of our actions as designers. This design concept phase provides the point which can be referred to in all design processes for designers. Dorsworth and Anderson explained in their book that the concept is communication. It's not about perfection. You don't need to be a great artist to be a designer, but you do need to be confident about communicating your idea visually, whatever technique you use. The development phase, metaphorically as transforming flight of fancy to a practical design solution. And it is that ideas are allowed to live realistically. In this phase, the essential activity is multidisciplinary working. The aim is to break down work internally for finalizing the details of the project. In other words, it is to gain advice from other departments and to apply this into the design project. While designers strive to find the best solution, most of the solution will be compromised. The role of the designer in evaluation phase is to determine the priorities for what is the most appropriate solution between wants and needs. I'd like to introduce one method for evaluation. It is the double loop learning model. The main goal of this model is how to learn from your mistakes. You can imagine that you are the second-order observer. What do the first-order observers see, and how do they see it? At this time, your perspective is different from the first-order observer because you are one step back from the design. Pyle states that we have not arrived at any clear point of view about ways in which to focus this kind of evaluation on what we do, but we have at least become aware of the importance of the issue. The key point of deliver phase is delivering a lesson. Even though the design outcome is delivered to the user successfully, delivery is not finished yet. We must deliver the lessons learned from all of the processes of the design to other designers for the future users. This is the real meaning of delivering. The diary is introduced as a media of deliver the new design process. Through this diary, I offer the means to approach design responsibly. Fundamentally, the goal of the Responsible Design Diary is to produce responsible designers through the change of the design process. Two positive changes are expected to be seen: an improvement of their own sense of responsibility and the ability to recognize the consequences of their daily action. This diary will provide a guidance to perform all design stages, from the initial phases to the implementation phase. Through this diary, a design project is segregated into 8 phases, and in each phase there will be sub-stages. It is not necessary to follow each phase, as it may not be suitable for certain design projects. However, the phases in this diary will provide aid from designers keeping records, making progress, evaluating, and reflecting on their own design. The main users are current designers who are working for design companies. It might be difficult to retrain the current designers because of the problems such as time and cost and unusual opportunities. Responsible Design Diary would educate them through guiding, self-evaluating, recording of daily activity, and so on. Mother Teresa has left the following quote: "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water to create many ripples." This means as long as the individual small action can take, it potentially has impacts that could change a larger community. Society has a number of problems. A lot of designers are still trying and making effort to solve this problem. However, it must be delivered to others more proactively. I think this is the most ideal way that designers can help designers and community of the future. This is because the power of design is great.